Welcome, everyone. This is once again your host, Shailesh, bringing you live an episode of amazing topic today. That why I am doing this topic is another layer. But let's dive into a topic that you will want to understand because you keep talking about it or you keep thinking about it, but you don't know what are we doing by thinking, what are we doing by taking actions, what is it called when you think and when you take action, what is it called? And to me, I think that's where we say that we alive or we existing or we do something, and that is life. Because if you look at the plants, animals, insects, trees all around us, it's all we say it's all living beings. So human beings also then becomes a living being because they are all doing something or the other by showing their existence, and that's called life. That's what we say we are life. But also humans life is different to what others life. So today we're going to talk about a beautiful topic called life and death, because I think people don't want to talk about death because they think, oh, it's negative or it's not good. But really speaking, they go hand in hand. And how they go, what is the process, why it is so, in our opinion, in our suggestions, in the way we think as a humans and everybody. This is not say thinking about me telling you guys, but this is all about you can talk about it on your own terms and ways. But we are going to talk about today, and we matlab we means it is Adriana, all the way from Canada, for us to give her thoughts, because she is, as you know, as you can see, she's beautiful, transforming lives. She's a transforming lives in these powerful episode stories that we exist. So let's welcome Adriana. Beautiful Adriana, welcome to this beautiful episode of Life and Death, which is not often talked about, not often is thinks that this is something that we should not talk or we should talk, but people write books, people write something about life, people write something about their experiences and all of that. And then they also experience or they want to give you the experience of non-existence, which is we call it another term called is death, but that is non-existent. That's not actually we are gone somewhere we don't know. So let's dwell into this. Let's dwell into this topic. Beautiful, amazing topic. Adriana, welcome to this show. Tell me something about. Let's start something about why are we doing this topic and why it is so important to talk about it. Is this something you can throw some light on it as a living
Yes,
being?
thank you. Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for having me. It's always, it's always a pleasure to talk. We have deep and long conversation, sometimes for hours, and we love this kind of conversation. And we said, like, why not bring this conversation to the public as well?
Mm,
Because just speaking between two of us is not, I think it's a great impact, but will be even a greater impact if we share with other people. And maybe others that listen, your audience that listen, they maybe will find some questions,
mm,
something, a moment, one of us says something that triggering them and make them stop for a moment and be like, I
mm,
never thought that way. And that is a start of a new of living, maybe even differently. And why do we, for me, what is mean life and death, and this subject is so important because most of us we talk about everything else except what's the most important, which
mm,
is the two points,
mm,
opposite points.
mm,
The most important points of our life is the moment we were born and the moment we were gonna leave from this life. And most of us, we've been taught that we don't speak about that. We don't talk about it. We don't think about it. It's something that everybody run from it.
mm,
And the
mm,
biggest fear that everybody has at the core of all your fears, if we dine it down, if we go down to it, to the root cause,
mm,
the essence of our fears is the fear of death.
mm.
And why not talk about it? Why we keep going around the circle around it when it's there? It's like the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Everybody knows about it.
Mm,
We all know one single thing, it's sure. From
mm,
all the insecurities and all the uncertainty in this life, the only thing we are sure of is that
mm.
we all gonna die.
Right.
But we're
Absolutely.
all running away from this subject. Why?
Absolutely. Very well said, Adriana. This is cool. Like, this is a good start. Like, when you know something and you don't want to talk about it, how bizarre is that? You know, because when you talk, that means you are alive. And when you talk, that means you are making somebody make alive also. Because when you share your experience, share your things, that is called life. And that is the livelihood of what we are exist. But you are spot on with that statement that, when we all know what's going to end, what is going to happen at the end, what's our goals? There is no goals, but this is all a process of our journey. So coming back to that beautiful sentence you started, that when you know something, why do you don't want to talk about it? So here we are today talking about life and death. We are knowing that this is all gonna go end at one point at some stage. So what is life according to you, Adriana? How do you see when you want to say that, okay, why are we doing what we are doing today? And why do we have to do what we have to do? And why do we have all these beautiful choices we can do, we can't do, we don't have to do, we don't have to say? All these things comes down to that. So in the end, what are we doing? Like, okay, we're gonna go, but then we have to do all these things. Tell us something about that, because I think every single moment of our journey, we got to do something, right? Is that called life? Or doing nothing also is called life? Let's start with that.
That's a very beautiful, deep, profound
Mm,
question that we can dive really deep into this. I
mm.
love to, I go on a bunny trail with questions
Yes.
like that.
Yeah.
For me, living, it's, that like us, one sure thing that makes us be sure that we're alive and we live is our breath. And
Right.
breath has two opposite, breathe in and out.
Mm,
And the same with life. Life has positive and negative.
mm,
Life it's itself, our lungs are going, breathe in and out. Your heart goes like pumping and then releasing, pumping,
mm.
constricting and releasing.
Correct.
And we have the sun and the moon, all these things that coordinate to make the balance between everything that happening. For me,
Hmm.
living, it's comes for the word, the word in English, be, to be. And
Okay.
the word
To be.
be, like be, it's
Mm-hmm.
be, the letter B, which is mean being. So you
Mm-hmm.
are being, a human being. And E comes from exploring. So
Mm,
you are a being that explore
mm,
itself
mm,
throughout this life. That's what, for me, living is mean, is that I'm discovering and exploring who
mm,
I am as a human being, as a soul, as a whatever you want to call, a label you want to put on it,
mm,
through this, the environment, the situation, the people. The only way I can discover myself is I need to discover myself through seeing myself in the situation, the people, the experience that I'm doing something. So
mm,
I know some people says like, being but not doing, but you can't be
mm,
without doing. But in the same time, it's kind of like breathe in
mm.
and out. You can be without
Yeah.
doing, but
Mm.
also the only way to explore who you are as a being is by doing, which is exploring who you are. And
Right.
sometimes that doing is not necessarily physically. It can be an internal doing, like you sit with yourself, you
Yeah.
discover, you put question, you reflect over yourself. That's a form of doing too, but
Mm.
it's in a different way of seeing. So for me, living itself mean movement,
Right.
exploring, is mean evaluating. Like I'm always evaluating, I'm always growing, I'm always searching for who I am. Because the only way I can realize that I'm alive is that by figure out what's happening with me, what I am, what I feel, what I don't feel, what I like and what I don't
Mm.
like. So it's this beautiful, like constant exploration. And also we know that so many people said that some people are alive, they existing, but they're
Mm-hmm.
not living. The difference between existing and living, some they say that you are not like living your life, you're just
Mm.
existing your life, which can be
Right.
a difference. So
Mm.
is there certain ways to how to look at this? But yeah, I love this idea of be the word
Mm.
be and exploring.
So coming to that and extending on that, like, so what do you think? Like, do we have to do things when you said that being and exploring? So exploring means, we got to go and find out lots of things, and it's a lot of hard work sometimes for people. They think, but do we have to do, or who is telling us to do all these things? What do you say? The life that we have all, that's everybody is doing something different, but they are doing and some are not doing. But then who is telling us to do this? Are we telling, or is somebody else is telling us to do? What's your kind of take on it, and why do we have to do, why they are pushing us to do some things that we don't know why it is?
Yeah, if because like everything, when you start in your life, you start in a life that you're not conscious of who you are. The first 3 years of our lives as babies, we don't
Mhm.
have the consciousness and the brain capacity to understand that we are we. When a
Mhm.
baby under 3 years old, if they look in a mirror, this is science proving, it's
Mm.
not just me, my own opinion, but if you have, those that are watching, if you have a little child or you had little children, just if you remember when they were until 3 years old, they
Mm.
look in the mirror, they were talking with the person in the mirror with themselves, like with another person, because they cannot recognize themselves.
Mm.
You
Mm.
create the identity after 2, 3 years old. Then you start having more cognitive, comprehensive of your brain to start understanding, oh, the person in the mirror is me.
Right.
And so you identify yourself the first 3 years with your parents, especially with your mom.
Mhm.
So your mom is you and you are your mom. If your mom cry, you feel sad. You feel what she feels. And
Mhm.
after 3 years old, you start changing that idea, and later on until 12, 7 and 12, you create your personality. You start understanding the world, and absorb all the information. So basically the first years of your life, you don't even know who you are. You just do, you like almost like a robot. You just do
Mm.
what you've been told. You just follow, watch, and replicate.
Mm.
You don't even know you are a human being,
Mm.
basically. So it's beautiful to see that transition from coming in this world, not knowing who we are, or some people say in the spiritual world, you forgot who you are as a
Mm.
soul.
Mm.
That has a purpose too. We can dive deeper into that later. And
Mm.
then we go through this transition from not knowing. Some people say you like a white canvas, empty canvas. You come here not
Mm.
knowing who you are, then you slowly start discovering who you are. Then you become these projects of your parents, environment, all these things that project back to you of
Mm.
who you're supposed to be.
Mm.
Then you start creating this idea of this is me, and hopefully one day you wake up, or not
Mm.
necessarily.
Mm.
But for me, my personal story is that one day I woke up and I look in the mirror and I was like, wait a minute, I don't recognize this person. This is not me. Because
Mm.
it wasn't me. It was a projection of my environment, my parents, my stories, other people's stories that
Mm.
shaped me to become the
Mm.
person I was. And
Mm.
then I woke up and I'm like, I no, that's not me. I don't recognize the person in the mirror. And then I start doing the change, and then I learn to unlearn everything I learned about life, so
Mhm.
I can learn what I actually want and what I want to adopt and create from now on. So it's
Mm.
almost like I give myself a rebirth,
Mm.
because you can do that. You have the opportunity, God, universe, whatever you want to call it, they give us this free will to
Mm.
always choose to exist or to choose to
Mm.
live, to choose to just walk like a walking dead on this world and not worry and not just do your thing like what people tell you, or actually strive and find and be curious and explore who I am, why I'm here, all these questions that people are start asking sometimes. So
Yeah.
that's how I see it. Yeah.
So you touched on the rebirth word there, because that's where we are all now diving into it. Like, okay, birth and then death, or life and then death and then rebirth, or we reappear or we disappear, whatever we call it. But one things, there are certain beliefs, there are certain exploring, what you said is exploring who we are as human. So when it comes to that, like, life is all about happening, doing things, but also life is all about not doing things. Life is also all about sleeping, because when we sleep, we don't know what we do, right? So, but still we are alive and still we are called life. Not until
I
we.
love that. I really love that. That triggers something, me, and if you allow me to go dive
Sure, sure, please,
deeper
please.
into it.
Yeah.
So I want to ask all your audience.
Mm,
The moment we say that this is who we are, whatever you see in the mirror, whatever other people reflect on you, this is who you are. And I love when you said that when we go to sleep, we go in a dream.
mm,
Are you really? Because
mm,
you just said you are the body. So if we are the body, if it's this is what we believe we are and nothing else, not more than that,
mm,
your body never leaves. Your
mm,
body sits for 8 hours, sometimes not moving or whatever, but doesn't go anywhere for 8 hours or
mm.
6 hours, whatever you sleep.
Yep.
But you say to yourself, oh, last night I was in a dream. I had the dream. I was like, felt like I was there and I was doing that. I was traveling or whatever your dream is. But the question is like, how can you say you are going there or doing things when literally your body was sitting still for 8 hours? So
That's right.
my question is,
Yeah.
who is you
Mm,
that goes
mm,
somewhere in a dream,
mm.
and who is you that sits in a bed in the same time for 8 hours?
True.
So who are you? Are you the body that sits on 8 hours on
Mm,
a bed, or you are that thing, that energy, that soul, that
mm.
imagination, that whatever you want to call it, that goes to those dreams?
But that's why
That
my
is the
question
question.
was like, why do we have to do things? Who is telling us to do these things? Is someone else is telling us, or am I telling, or, is it like a dream, or is it like an illusion, or is it like something that has been already planned or set, and we have been mechanically like a robots, we are doing things? What is it? So that's why when we say subconscious mind, conscious mind, but then we talk about thoughts, and the thoughts comes and we take action. So is it something the life is all about thoughts and taking actions, or is it life about somebody is telling us to do this and that, and then keep changing also? So if somebody tells us and we believe that, or we seek that, we are seeking, as you said, exploring who is telling us to do this, do we have to do this, and why certain things comes to our mind and we keep doing. That's one of the major factor of our life, because every moment we have to do something, even subconsciously. Why have been made given a body that reacts and acts, but also that has got activity to perform every single moment. The body is performing an activity, right?
Yeah.
And then our mind is performing an activity of thoughts, and then they are connected and they are communicating with each other. But we are the witness. Are we the witness as a body, or are we the witness as a mind, or who are we?
That is a deep question. I love this kind of questions because it makes you think. Remember, we talked about this, and I use this analogy that
Hmm.
I heard it a long time ago. It says that think of this. Some of you know the game Mario, the Mario that the little like back in the day
Yeah.
we used to play on a older computer. The Mario that just jumps and try to get the mushrooms and keep jumping and going on the game. So imagine the Mario game. You
Mm.
are Mario, or that's what we think. We think we are Mario. But then if you think at the game, the Mario game is on a screen
Mm-hmm.
and you have a controller that someone plays the controller. You have the controller, then someone moves the controller stuff and play the
Mm-hmm.
button. So the Mario doing his things. The same like you said. Who
Mm-hmm.
is someone making us do? Who has the thoughts? Who? So I look at it from three different levels.
Mm-hmm.
So the Mario level, like our body,
Mm-hmm.
Mario is our body. The material, this meat soup that we call ourselves, this body is the Mario. Then the second level, which is like the conscious part. Then you have the subconscious part, which is the remote control, that thing that moves and make you do things. Which
Mm-hmm.
is the subconscious part, is the parts of our brain that are created for us over the years, the habits, the memory, the experiences,
Mm-hmm.
the It's called the default mechanism in your brain, which is helping you to repeat certain things, the autopilot that helps you to create and do all these things that you
Yeah.
need to do every day without thinking, like
Mm.
breathing, all the chemical reactions that happen in your body over the 50 trillion billions of cells through your body, that they do their job without you telling them what to do. So we need that part of the autopilot, the subconscious part. And then you have the superconscious, I call it, the superconscious, which is the boy that plays the remote control, that plays the game.
Yeah.
So the
No.
question comes,
Mm.
are we Mario? Are
Mm.
we the remote control? Or are we the boy on the couch that commands all of this?
Mm. Yeah.
That is the question.
Yes. So when it comes to that, okay, why do we have to do these things is one part, but then when we do things, we experience, and when we experience something, we want to experience more. And this is where it leads us from one thing to another thing. But if you don't take action, like we are sleeping and we don't take any action, it is still in our mind. There are lots of things happening, but nobody knows. But that's how it is.
Yeah.
But when you do physically in front of someone or not, and you keep you in front of yourself or others, and we keep doing things, we experience and then we learn, as you said, and then we unlearn and learn, and then we keep doing. But is that called life? Is that an addiction? Like we want to do something? Or automatically, as we touched on subconscious and conscious mind, but there are certain things our body tells us to do, and that's what is subconscious. If we are hungry, our body tells us. If we are thirsty, our body tells us. But then there are certain things we tell the body, no, I want hungry now. Even though I'm not hungry, even though you are not demanding, I'm going to put it something. Now, that's something that, again, we do it by consciously. But then, is this all about is life? Or because it leads to different things, right? Like people
Mm.
say, oh, you don't do this, otherwise you will hurt yourself, or you don't do this, or you will get sick, or you don't do this, you will get, problem. So there are consequences for our actions.
Yeah.
But then somebody is telling us to take these actions, irrespective whether whatever consequences are. And
Yes.
so when you look at from that angle, why do we have to eat to live? Why do we have to eat to live? Or do we have to live to eat? Then there is a lot of questions that they say, because you get to see a lot of things, you get to experience a lot of things. So are you want to do that? That's why you want to live? Or you want to experience those things and live? What is it? Like, how do we make that call to ourselves, what we want?
Yeah,
And every
definitely.
individual is different, right?
Yes, like I said, there are people that are existing and people that are living. They choose. I say this between B and D, which is between birth and death.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
It's the what is between B and D.
Mm.
C, yes,
Mm.
as a letter.
Mm.
B, D, C. And
Mm.
C for me is a choice.
Mm.
Between
Okay.
B, death, between B, birth, and D, death, it's
Mm-hmm.
a C, which is choice. So
Mm.
every single day you have a choice. I choose to live, I choose to exist. And the
Mm.
question, to get back to you, to the question you said, that are we eating to live or are we living to
Live to
eat?
eat. Yeah.
It's a choice. You can choose to eat to live, or you can choose to live to eat. When I say that, is because I look at our bodies as our vehicle. So you have a
Mm-hmm.
car
Mm-hmm.
that wants to take you from A to B. To
Mm.
take you from to B, you have to have a good maintenance of the car to work properly. You have to put gas once in a while. If you have a long ride, like a 80, 90 years ride,
Mm-hmm.
if you
Mm-hmm.
want to live like that, and it's is in your books, like call it, to live 80, 90 years old,
Mm.
then that vehicle have to be put gas all the time. You have to do some maintenance. That's how bad our body is. It's just a vehicle that you use in this life to give you the experiences, to be able to experience life itself. Because I always say this, if, and I believe it, again, it's just my perspective. If as a soul, if we believe that we are a soul beside our body and we are a soul with the body to experience this life, then the soul is like this. I look this frequency of energy is such a high energy that is spread like God universe is spread everywhere and nowhere. It's infinite. It doesn't have a beginning or an end.
Mm.
But how can you experience life
Mm.
if you are everywhere and nowhere? If you are
Mm.
spread everywhere? The only way to experience life, you have to come back from non-matter to shrink yourself into a low vibration to matter, which is us now life, this body, this vehicle, this meat soup, is shrink it into matter. You can, that's research done and it's been proven through quantum physics. If you look at quantum physics, they say that if you look at a particle or, a particle, it doesn't exist until an observer see it.
Mm.
Like the idea, another analogy, they say, how can you know a tree fell in a forest if nobody sees it?
Yeah, correct.
Make sense? So
Yep.
the same with us, the only
Mm-hmm.
way we can observe ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
imagine if you are just pure light. Do you
Mm.
see light? You can see it. The only way you see it if it's put into a bulb, like a light bulb. If it's put
Mm.
into a way, then you see the light.
Mm.
And the light needs dark to see it. You can, if it's everything light, then you don't see nothing. If
Mm.
it's everything dark, you don't see nothing again. So like I said, you need the contrast, you need the life, and you need the death. You
Mm.
need the things in between that's happening to give you the contrast.
Yes.
And coming back to what I said earlier, the only way to experience yourself and life, the essence of who you are, is that you have to literally shrink your energy into a body, into a feeling capable thing like this, so you can
Mm-hmm.
actually be able to experience things.
Mm.
Otherwise you couldn't experience all this amazingness of who we are, this world, and us as humans. That's why we had to come here, to be able to experience itself through
Mm.
these bodies.
I
And
agree.
then I see it as like this universal energy that was fractured, like the fractures was fractured to different millions and billions of
Mm.
fractures as humans, be able to experience each other through ourselves.
Mm.
I always use this analogy of the world is a mirror that is reflecting back at you.
Mm.
And the only way to know yourself is through a mirror, no,
Mm. Yeah.
physically. You cannot know who you are without looking at a
Without
mirror.
looking.
And the
Mm.
same with the world. You need a world to show you who you are, to explore yourself through the world. And
Mm.
that's why I find it so fascinating to understand and see this beyond just this vehicle and what we can do with it. And that's why it's important to eat so we can live, so we
Mm.
can explore. If we don't eat, we don't take care of this body, then our car is not going to run. Then how we can
So, mm.
go through life if we cannot run our vehicle? Make sense?
Yep, yep. So basically, yeah, we eat so we can grow, and when we grow, we can experience more, and we can explore more. But if
Yeah.
we don't eat, then we are restricting our growth, and when we restrict our growth, we can't explore more. Basically, that's what you're trying to imply, I guess. Um,
Yeah.
what then, how would you describe now? We talked about a lot about life, like, okay, life is everywhere or life is in everything, whether it is a sea, ocean, air, fire, everything there is a life. That's why it creates some actions from there. Actions are created. And so as humans have got lots of things embedded in it so that actions are created out of that. All right. So when
Yeah.
you look at and when you compare ourselves with our surroundings, whether it is the sun, the galaxies, the moon, the mountains, the river, the water, the air, everything that is around us, and then we look at all the non-existent things, but we don't know what it is, but we feel it. So there are two aspects. One we can see from our own eyes, and one is we can't see, but we can feel. So, what is life? Not just seeing, not just experiencing, but also feeling. And feeling takes us to the another level of
Yeah.
understanding. right? Of who we are. As you said, like mirror. I can look in the mirror and say, oh, is this me or is this someone else? If I have changed myself, oh, I can change myself and I can still look in the mirror. And when I change myself, I still look the same what I have changed in the mirror. And that's the beauty of it, that we can change multiple times, whatever we want, whoever we want, and we can still look in the mirror and exactly we are what we want to see, right?
Yeah. But
So,
look at this way. If someone, you know, when we talk about the mirror work and you saw like who I am. But
mm,
my question is that our bodies changes and evolve.
yep.
Can you say that you're not the same person that was like, or you're not the same like you, say the you, so or me, like I look in the mirror, I'm just gonna give myself example.
Mm-hmm.
When I look of a picture of me when I was 3 years old, 5 years old, that wasn't me. You say,
Mm,
when you meet with people and you gather and you go over old pictures, say, oh, look at that's me. Oh, look,
mm,
that's me in the picture. That's me when I was 5. But look at you now. You look totally different than you look when you are 3 years old, 5.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
you look totally different when you are 20 years old than when you're 50, 60, 80. So my question is
Mm-hmm.
then who are you? Are you the
Mm,
5 year old? Are you the 3 year old? Are you the 20 year old? Are you the 50 year old? Are you the 80 year old? Then
mm,
who are you? Because you're
mm,
not your body, because your body changed. Like
true.
basically in this moment, I die in front of you and
Mm,
nobody saw that. I die in front of the things that cells, reactions happen and cells die, other ones give birth inside of me right now as you witness me
mm,
speaking.
mm,
But nobody witnessed that. So when it comes to death and life are not separated. They
mm,
are together. Death is happening in your body and inside of you. The same life is happening
mm,
in the same time. It's a constant dance between them. We're
true.
running from death, but
Mm,
we experience death every single day. Not just the exterior, that people that we lose, that we love, and the departure from this world, but
mm,
basically inside of us, we have cells that die. When you go shower, why we shower? We
mm,
shower because we literally dead skin coming off cells. I know it sounds gross, but it's not. This is part of who we are. You go to the bathroom,
mm,
you're releasing waste, which is what it is
mm,
dead cells,
mm,
basically. So
mm.
we literally have death happening every single time in us.
Yeah, every
Why
moment.
we're running from it? We accept it as normal.
Mm. And that amazingly you put it this, because constant change is the only permanent thing that is happening inside
Yeah.
us, around us, everywhere. So I think this is what we have understood. What is life is all about constant changes that life brings to us, but also gives us the experience with those changes, that fear or that fearfulness or that fearlessness. Everything is embedded in us. What you choose, as Adrian, you said before, like in between there is C, which is the choice. So everything comes back to that C word, which is the choice that we have. And are we doing enough to understand and make sure that we choose the choices that we have, or we are just like saying, okay, I'll wait for the death to come and let me not do anything and I will just die. There was an interesting question about one of the, I think I read somewhere, it's a 5-year-old asking the, the spiritual people that, okay, why do we have to live if we know that we're going to die? It's a mind-boggling question. Why do we have to live if we are going to know, if we know we are going to die? And then I think the answer to that is like, okay, we eat to grow. And then when we grow, we experience. If we don't eat, we don't grow and we don't experience. It's simple as that. So when you know you're going to die, why don't you die with experience? Why don't you die with exploring? Choice.
Yes.
Again, it's your choice, right? Comes back to that $1 million question of choice. Are we
Yeah.
taking enough choices in our life?
Yeah.
So the fine line between life and death. So, what is death? Let's talk about death. What is death really, according to you? Because when we sleep, we may, as you know, as you told, every single moment we have a fear that we may die or we will die. And that
Yeah.
fear is amazing because that also gives us an opportunity to do something before you die,
There you go.
right?
Yeah.
So let's
That,
analyze this. Tell me about
yes.
this. Mm.
It's a powerful question, and again, it's a question that many people avoid to even think.
Think.
That's how
That's
even
right.
say about talking about it.
Mm.
I love talking about this because as I look at the people in my life that they passed away, I call it they left from this world because
Mhm.
nobody dies. Nothing dies. Is again,
Right.
we've been taught that once you die, then you're gone, that's it. But
Mm.
are you?
Mm.
Let me ask your audience a question. So I know this again, I'm gonna go deep to some questions, and some of them they're gonna trigger people. It's not my intention to trigger
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
bring
Yeah.
hard memories, but it's just to bring awareness.
Mm.
You know, when my grandma passed away,
Mm.
and I went there I was in Canada, and I flew to Romania to see
Mhm.
her. And
Mhm.
listen, even the way I see, my grandma passed away, so she
Mm.
wasn't like, she was dead,
Mm.
but I went to see her.
Mm.
So when I went there and I was sitting, everybody was crying around it, and I was just sitting in peace.
Mm.
And I was watching, and it was just like lifeless, no a body that wasn't moving, but the body was there. And everybody said, crying and says, "I'm sorry, your grandma passed is gone."
Mm.
I'm like, in my head, the curious child in me, I'm like, she's here in front of you. She's not gone. She's just there. You see her. Just because it's not
Yeah.
moving.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know it sounds very hard, but just
Mm.
because, like, if you take it the facts, okay, so let's take the facts.
Mhm.
The fact that is a body was not moving, it was sitting there, is
Mhm.
not gone, it's still there. And if you put it in the ground or you whatever that is, it's just what it is. It's just transformed. It's energy. But when if I remember my grandma, I talked about her,
Mm.
about everything she have done and things we have explored and things we have learned and laugh and cry together. I still talk about her.
Mm.
Physically, she's not here, so I can, touch the material, the body, the meat soup. But
Mm.
I still talk about her like she's still here.
Mm.
So then in the end, that it's again a choice. We choose to believe, and we've been taught again, and nobody's fault. We've been taught, and it's I will call it like a habit of thinking that this is what death is. A person is gone, that's it, there's no more. But people are still talking amazing things about their loved ones and see pictures and laugh about it, or maybe dreamed about it, or even feel there. Some people say, I feel my grandma with me. Like I feel my grandpa with me every time I drive.
Mm.
Sometimes I have, I talk with him, and I feel his presence, his essence, his energy on the seat beside me.
Yeah.
What is that? Maybe some people call me crazy. I'm okay with that. It's all good.
Mm.
But it's just like you said, how I feel about that thing, and it's an
Mm.
energy for me. That
Mm.
it's an end of energy in a certain shape, a
Mhm.
certain matter, and now it's transforming to a different matter. Because
Mm.
like if Einstein, I think he was saying that energy is always transforming, never dies, just transform
Mhm.
in different ways. And always that's what energy is. We are energy at the base of who we are as humans. So
Mm.
for me, that is like a switch in a change in a different energy. That's how I see it. And that every time something die, it gives the opportunity to something else to give birth to.
Mm.
Like the phoenix had to die to rebirth from his ashes. um Ashes, we know the material of ashes are very nutritional, that for the soil.
Mm.
Like us, we have cells in our bodies that dies to make space for new cells to give birth. When a child come to this world, your life changes, a chapter in your life changes, so another
Mm.
one comes. So if you look at it, it's just a transformation of the way you see things.
Mm.
That's why for me, at least personally for me, that means
Yeah.
it's just a way of how you end the cycle of a life, or way of doing and being, to a different kind of cycle, a
Mm.
different form, a different shape, a different energy. That's how I see it.
So, life is like existence that we exist. But then death, we can say it's non-existence, if I put it this way, just for the argument and
Yeah.
our debate point of view. So one is existence and one is non-existence, but they both we talk about. That's the $1 million thing. That means we both need, even though
Mhm.
if it is not there, just like when you go on a holiday, I may not see you every day, but I still think of you. I still feel of about you. So that's also a life, right? But then when you gone, as you said rightly, when your grandma, grandpa, they're gone, but they're still here because we feel.
Yeah.
And so they may non-existence for everyone, but they are existence for us, for the
Yeah.
particular every individual.
It comes back to choice. You
Yeah.
choose to
Mm.
have them beside you and think that they're there and feel them, or you choose to believe that they are long gone and that's it.
Mm. Mm. So it's all about
Again, it comes,
choices. Yeah.
yeah, it's a choice, and it's that free will. They say God gives you the free will to choose everything, to choose what to believe, not to believe, to think, not to think, to feel.
Mm.
All these things is you have the free will to choose.
Mm.
Nobody can make you think. Nobody can make you feel. I sometimes I get a little bit like people just like, oh, that person hurt me. That person made me feel. I'm like, really,
Mm.
really, someone can make you feel. Nobody can go, I always say this, nobody can go behind your eyeballs and
Mhm.
make you feel anything. Nobody can do that.
So,
It's a choice. Yes, they influence your feelings. They
mm.
trigger things inside of you that you already had before, and those are just coming to the surface. Yeah, that's a different story. But
So,
you have them in you. You choose. Like
yeah.
the thoughts too. Think of when we thoughts. Let me
Mm.
ask a question. Shailesh, can you create a thought for me now? Think of
Mm.
something. Create a thought for me.
Is it like provoking thoughts or food for thought? That's what they say. Okay, I'm going to put something in your head. Then you can talk about it, or I'll give you a clue and then you will start talking about it. So, is that something that I can put thoughts in your mind? Not sure. Or is it something that I'm triggering to think by my actions or by my words? Am I asking or making you think and making you talk or making you think about certain things? So I really don't know how do we put somebody else's thoughts, but we know that we can trigger, we can provoke, we can, make them feel. But that also on a higher level, not everybody understands what you are saying. So they ignore sometimes because they don't understand, or they understand and then they start arguing or
Choose.
debating,
They
right?
choose to ignore it.
Yeah, they choose to ignore. So I want
Yeah,
to ask you this, after this, I want to ask you, like, when you look at life and death, is death a freedom or is life a freedom? How do you see this?
that's such a deep, great question. Never been asked that. If
Mm.
life is freedom or death is freedom, I think I think it's the way it comes back to me with the breath.
Mm-hmm.
Which is best, breathe in or breathe out?
Mm. Mm.
You can constantly breathe in. You
Yeah,
have to breathe out at one point.
of
And you
course.
cannot constantly breathe out. You have to breathe in at one point.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how I see it. That's how I see life and death. You can't have one without the other one. You can choose.
That's
It's
true,
literally
but
the same, is the
yeah,
same thing at opposite poles.
yeah.
Plus and minus, if you take a magnet, how many times you can cut it in half, you're still gonna have a plus and minus at the end of it.
Mm.
That's how life and death is. You can't have one without the other one. You cannot cut death out of the life, and you can be just death and not life. You have to have both of them. It
Yes.
doesn't matter what you try to do.
Yeah, but when I see that if I have to analyze my life, every single moment, and every single what I want to say, or most of the listeners may agree, not agree, but I'm talking from my point of view, like, okay, I want every single moment, something. I don't know what, but something that will resonate, something that will make me free from my thoughts. Because the thoughts come, and then I want expectations increase. And then when I
Mhm.
get it, then I become free. But then again, thoughts come and again I free. So is free, free. You are trying to free yourself. from your thoughts, but you're also trying to free of your own kind of thought process, right? How do you
Yeah.
see this as? So that's why I wanted to ask you, triggering this question, like, okay, is life is all about getting a freedom for yourself or looking for freedom every single time? And then one day you know that you're gonna die or you're gonna sleep forever, or that is the freeness that we say that is what the freedom is. How do you like put it? What's your view on it?
I love these topics. I love these questions. I really like it. They're my jam. It's when I think of this, one question that as you were talking, it popped to my head when you said my thoughts.
Mm.
So my question is, if they are your thoughts,
Ah,
who are
good.
you that has the thoughts?
Yeah.
Okay, you're not your thoughts. So they said I had thoughts coming in. Where they come from?
Mm.
If you said that come from, that means they come from somewhere else. That means they're not
Mm.
your thoughts. But then you use the label my thoughts. So now you start deciding ownership on your thoughts. Once you put a label on your thoughts, what they say, they become yours. So thoughts come and go like clouds, just come and go and come and go. And you just cling on them. And I'm like, I'm going to take these thoughts and I'm going to run with it. I don't like it, but I'm just going to hold on it. I'm going to hold on it. But what happened is that if tighter you hold on it, it's never going to let you go. You have to let go before it lets you go.
Yeah.
And when it comes to all this idea of thoughts and where and who's coming from and they are my thoughts, do I let them go? I'm the one that I'm creating thoughts. Whatever that is again comes back to choice,
Mm.
because when a thought comes, I can decide to sit with it, to be with it, look at it, or I can be, it's a thought. I don't have to cling with it. I can just look at it, observe it,
Mm.
and that's when you have freedom. That's why I think it is. Freedom and peace are the most seeking sensation, feelings that we all looking for.
All looking for
Because
it.
we think that death, we scared of death because we think that death is the end of everything.
Mm.
But death can be, like I said, the beginning of something else. It can be
Mm.
the end of this life, but the beginning of something else.
Mm.
And also, you can choose to have a death every single day because you do body-wise, it's happening every day. But you
Mm.
can do that with your thoughts and your mindset.
Mm.
And the most of the mindset that we have, what I see us who we are now are a creation, accumulation, a collaboration of
Mm.
our thoughts, other people's thoughts, our experience accumulated with other people's experience, put it together.
Yeah.
So your mind literally is recircling, like recycling and recycling a lot of stuff. And they get triggered and influenced by people and situations. And then they just, flow there like in iCloud on iPhone. They're just on the iCloud there. They've been stored all your life. And
Yeah.
then you come and like, ooh, a thought pop out. Let me look at it. And then you sit with it and look at it. And then you complain. It's like, I don't like to think this way. I hate this thing. Oh, it's bothering me. It makes me hurt. It suffer me. But who holds it? You. You can
But
be like, interesting. I've
yeah.
been holding this thought for the last 30, 40 years. It
Yeah.
benefits me? No. Why I'm holding on to it? I don't want it. Release it. When you release it, it releases you.
Mm-hmm.
Until you're not deciding, it's a decision. Until you're
Right.
not deciding to release it, you cannot be free. And the
Right.
moment when you allow yourself to let them go,
Mm.
that's when you feel the freedom. That's what we're all looking for. For me, I had thoughts, situations, especially thoughts that have been hunting me for years. And
Mm-hmm.
someone was asking me at one point, he said, Adriana, I understand you have thoughts, you have these things, but
Mm.
who is holding to them?
Mm.
I said, who is keep bringing them again and again and again back inside of your mind, in your heart? I said, I say, interesting. So if you brought them, that means you decide consciously or unconsciously to keep bringing them.
Mm.
So the question is, if you keep bringing them, why? Why do you keep bringing them? What is the benefit behind them?
Mm.
That's when we dive deeper into why do we hold on thoughts that are not benefiting us.
Yeah, I think I wanted to make this also one of the things that I realized was in life that, a lot of things are happening around us, inside us, but we are not witness to it. We don't even see them, but we can feel what's happening inside. But what's happening outside also we can feel, but we haven't witnessed it with our own eyes. But still, it's happening. There are so many things are happening around us, inside us, so many things. And every single moment, it's a never-ending kind of a story. It's happening. But this is what the life is all about, is like happening. If nothing is happening, then we don't have a colorful or a resonating life that we want to experience, as you said. Otherwise, we are just like another plant who is growing and giving fruits, or sometimes not giving fruits, or a flower sometimes blossoming and sometimes not blossoming. We are just like that. But when we choose, no, I don't want to become a flower or I don't want to become a fruit. I just want to become a human where I can do and experience and do everything and anything at any given point of time. Is that the life that is called? Or all the things that are around us, they are also life, but they all life has got a different meaning, just like all humans have got a different meaning of their life.
Yes.
I wanted to ask this final, we are coming to this amazing conversation. As always, Adrian, how do you and what do you say between life and death? Yes, we are talking about life and death. And if there is no life, there is no death. They are all interrelated, interconnected, because when you die, that's where you born. And when you born, you again die. And this is a cycle. Is this a cycle that what we understand in this journey and what somebody understood in their journey in the past, which are not there anymore here? And we won't be here anymore after that, which we know this is a fact, and somebody else will be there. But this cycle keeps going and keeps coming. What's your kind of the way we all want to understand or not understand? We know that it is we are gonna be one day disappearing or non-existence. But is that non-existence for some only as a thought, or is it something that forever we are not going to be existing? How do you see this? Permanently non-existence and temporarily non-existence. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, it's another, amazing questions, amazing questions. I see us, and I will again speak about myself
yeah.
as life, that I went through a lot of things through my life, and now I looking back on the last 40 years, and I look at other people I know, their lives, they've been on this earth even longer than me, and I look at
Hmm.
their experience and speaking with them, even with you, we had deeper conversations.
Yeah, yeah.
When it comes to life, I feel like is this remembering who we are. This is this process of living. It's almost like remembering, taking the layers of the experience that was passed on through the from the previous generations to us. There
Hmm.
are these layers of that we unfolding who we
Right.
actually are. And some people unfold a lot of layers and they get very close to the essence of who we are. And
True.
some people they have still they leave this world
Hmm.
with still a lot of layers, and that's not good or bad, it just is.
True,
For
true,
me,
true.
what life means is that coming back to awareness, acceptation, and love. So I have this trilogy, like
Mm-hmm.
the only way to become more free and more who you are, come back to the essence of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
You are love. I call us that we are love. We don't love, we don't feel love, we are love. I am love, and love is everything.
Mm-hmm.
I know it sounds cheesy, but that's, again, this is just my perspective. And if
Yeah.
love is everything and anything and nothing is the essence of who we are,
Mm-hmm.
but to love, to be love, reverse engineer. So if you want to feel love and be love, pure love, unconditional love,
Mm.
which us as human, I feel like we're not quite there yet. but that's another story.
Mm,
We have to come back to before love, we have acceptation.
mm,
You cannot love without accepting what is.
mm,
And you cannot accept what it is without becoming aware of what it is. So it starts with awareness. More you aware of your surroundings, of yourself, or what you feel about life, and become truly aware. Aware is mean to open your mind and your heart
mm,
and be curious about it, not just taking it as it is. If someone life situation just tell you this is how life is suffering, life is hard, then you just take it and run with it.
mm.
But you forgot you have a choice. And
True.
if you become aware of that,
Mm,
then now you can accept it for what is.
mm.
Life, it just is. It's just happening. We choose
So,
to look at it good or bad. It makes sense? And
correct.
once you accept it for what is, now you can start feeling love, purely love. You just can know that this is it. That's love. And love
So,
is free.
yeah. So what's your then based on this theory of your own experience that when you say, okay, this is one of the part is okay, love, or one of the major part is awareness, because awareness of yourself, awareness of your surroundings is more important to live your life or lead your life or exist or keep existing is the awareness. And that's beautifully said. So what message would you say in your world that how should we all, when you know the truth that we are going to go or we're going to disappear or that death is inevitable, that is the only reality that we know, how would you then say how to live a life in your
I
own
have
way? And then
I
I'll
have a
tell you
saying.
little bit my little snippet also. I will tell you how I
Mhm.
live my life or how do I say message to all the listeners who are listening will be fascinating to everybody can live their own life the way they want. But in just my opinion, in your opinion, tell me first how would you live?
I have two things. One is that is a reminder I
Mhm.
have one life and one body. Don't
Mm.
screw it up. You don't get a second chance, at least on this world, okay?
Yep.
That's in a
Nice.
nutshell. That's all you have. Your one life, one body.
Mm.
Live with it, enjoy it, explore it, because you don't get a second chance again. If you
Yep.
believe in lives, other lives, that's something else. But for this life, we talk
For
about
this
now,
life.
this life, that's all you
No.
get. I never
Correct.
had someone else that said, I don't like this body. Can I get another one? And if you do, I need to talk with you. When it comes to in the second way, that is a phrase I use. If you watch
Mm-hmm.
my content, you're gonna hear me saying every single time,
Mm-hmm.
live your life like it's truly yours.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you believe and listen carefully this statement, it's profound.
Mm-hmm.
Because most of the
True.
people be like, what does it mean live my life like it's truly yours?
Mm,
I'm living my life.
mm,
Are you truly living your life? Are
mm,
you truly making your own choices every day? Or
mm,
you choosing because you've been pushed and you've
mm.
been indoctrinated and you've been,
Yes.
grown up in certain ways of being?
Mm, mm,
That's what it comes to live your life like it's truly yours. But to
mm,
live your life like it's truly yours, you need
mm.
to know who you are. So come
Absolutely.
back to you learning who you are, understanding yourself, exploring
Mm.
yourself
Exploring.
through
Yeah.
living your life.
Mm. Yes, that's beautifully said, Adrian. And I think I want to end this with the one of my always I talk to myself, like, how do I live my life every single day, every single moment? What's my thought process? What's my understanding? And why do I have to, live this life? So I have got one simple message to myself, which probably may resonate with some of the listeners that, okay, irrespective whether we like it or we don't like it, we are born. And when we are born, we say we exist. When we exist, we got to keep showing that we exist. To keep showing that we exist, we have to keep doing things. How do we keep doing things? Because the thoughts keeps coming to us to make us do things without our choices. But then, as Adrian mentioned, we have got beautiful C word in between choice because these thoughts will keep coming. But choice is yours. which one to choose and which one to reject and which one to ignore. But keeping doing things is the only ingredient of a human being. That's what I witnessed as an experience. And as you said, like if you do things, then you explore. And if you explore, you keep exploring. This is amazingly who we are. And we keep eating so that we grow, and we grow so that we can keep exploring. So I put this into one simple thing. Why then, when you know that you are going to go away or you're going to disappear, why do we have to live? So I say to myself, when I want to do some things in my life, exciting, non-exciting, doesn't matter. We don't know unless we do it is exciting or not. Unless we take action, we don't know whether it is exciting for us or not. So I wanted to put this into simple context of what I said to myself one day when I was young. I used to go to watch movies every single first opening day of favorite stars and favorite movies. I'm mad of movie. So why I go to movie? Why didn't I go to movie after somebody has watched it and they have told me the story and then I go, then it is exciting? Or why did I choose to go when I don't know anything about that movie and I go? And that's where the exciting thing happens, because when you don't know the start and don't know the end, and then you watch the movie with full of excitement and energy, otherwise there is nothing to live. So when you know something about everything and anything that you want to live, then that's not your life. That's a machine that you put something and you know the result is that. But life is not like result oriented. Life is never to be completed anything. It's all about evolution. It's all about experiencing. All about uncovering the unknown. So to me, life is absolutely exploration, seeking rather than believing. And so my advice to everyone, which I give myself, is you don't even have to believe your own thoughts. Explore your thoughts. You don't need to believe, but you explore your thoughts. So in that regard, I would say that, okay, life is like a movie. You don't need to know the start. You don't need to know the end. You can just enjoy the process, basically.
So true. I love this. It's so true. So true and so bang on, because how many times, like you say, you go to nobody goes to a movie that like heard about it,
Yeah.
know the story, seen the end, the
Yeah.
excitement, the thrill of not knowing. That's what makes life amazing, amazingly. And it's funny and sad in the same time, because that's what we are scared. We scared the unknown, but we love
Mm.
to go to a movie without knowing the end. I'm like, how how
Yes.
bizarre is that?
So
Such a beautiful way.
yeah, I think that's the mirror for us. Movie is the mirror for us life journey. With that note, Adrian, thank you so much for this amazing conversation. I think we have to do this episode, another episode, because it's something fascinating. I've got so many questions coming out after your thoughts that I think I should have spoken to you this, I should have asked you this, but hey, this is life. Until we are alive, we'll keep talking, we'll keep coming back, we'll keep triggering questions. So until then, thank you so much, Adrian. Your final message to all the listeners, we will come back.
Thank you so much for another great opportunity, an amazing conversation. I love this kind of conversation. They excite me. Like I say, we never know where it's gonna take us and
Yep.
what we're gonna speak
Yep.
about in the end. And that's the beauty of it. Just don't be afraid of the unknown,
Mm.
because I call unknown the endless possibilities. And this life
Yeah, absolutely.
give us the opportunity of endless possibility, and we can choose every single day how do we want to live our life, your
Ab-
life. So
Absolutely.
that's why my end is live your life like it's truly yours.
Yep. Thank you so much, Adrian. That's the message. Final, all the listeners, live your life just yourself. And if you don't understand, look in the mirror. That's my message to all of you. And you will find who you are. With that
Yes.
note, thanks, Adrian, once again for this amazing conversation. We'll come back once again with this beautiful episode.